Do you know that's who you work for?
Today, we're going to do a review of the action movie, The Beekeeper. Set in the year 2024, our main character is Jason Statham. Friends, subscribe to our channel. And so let's get started. The beginning of the movie. We see our main character Adam Clay. He works as a beekeeper. A woman named Eloise has rented him a house here. Clay is a beekeeper, beekeeping. On the way, he is met by Eloise and invited for dinner. Later, Eloise is going to go home and open her laptop to work. At some point, a message arrives on the laptop. It says that the disk is damaged. There is also a phone number. Eloise calls that number. The call is answered by a company called United Data Group. It turns out that this company cheats special elderly and defenseless customers. Eloise starts to tell about her problem. At this time, the head of the company, named Garnet, says that you need to download a special application. To do this, you need to go to the company's website and install the program on your laptop. Eloise does everything as they said, and now they're looking at the bills on Eloise's card. Eloise is the director of the orphanage, and all the money is from the orphanage account. About $2 million.
Fucking shit! Alright, she is a signatory on a $2 million account.
Garnet tells Eloise the next steps, and Eloise's laptop shuts down. Later, when Eloise turns her laptop back on, she notices that all her money is zero. Immediately, Eloise's mood changes. A message arrives on her phone saying that she has been scammed. Eloise says to herself, "What have I done?" Clay, however, closes a jar of honey for Eloise and comes to visit. When he enters the house, a girl named Verona appears behind him with a gun. She's Eloise's daughter. Clay recognizes her. He turns around and says he's sorry. We see Eloise commit suicide. Her daughter starts crying. Verona is a policeman, so her colleagues arrive at once. The other colleagues say that her mother committed suicide, but she doesn't believe it, saying that the guy was at home. Besides, she says that her mom is a person who loves life and would never do that. The cops take Clay away. Later, Verona looks at the laptop and realizes why her mom killed herself. After a while, the cops bring Clay home. They say that the gun only has Elios's handprint on it. Verona goes to Adam Clay's hive and apologizes for the slander and the mistake. Shesh offers Adam a drink. Clay agrees to keep him company. They talk and Verona thanks Clay for taking care of Eloise. Then Verona tells the main reason about her mother's death. She says that they robbed her mother. They stole all the money from her card. All the money belonged to the orphanage. Clay is asked about them, but it turns out that even the police doesn't know about the company. There is no evidence against them, and this company always cheat old people. After the conversation, Clay calls an acquaintance. It turns out Clay is not an ordinary man. He is a former member of the organization Beekeeper. He asks for help. He asks him to find the company that steals money through the site. His assistant finds this company, so Clay drives his old car to the United DIDN buildings. Two security guys won't let him in, and then Clay beats them up. Clay has two gas cans in his hands. He even warns the first girl he meets. Then he goes to the same place where Garnet's men are and warns them. Then he tells them to repeat after him these words: "I was wrong, and I'll never rob people again." One man wanted to resist, but Adam Clay showed him who is the boss. After that, people started to repeat after Clay, "We will never rob people again." Then Adam says that now, to make it easier for them, he will burn the place. People started to run away. At some point, Garnet himself shows up. Garnet runs away, and the place blows up. A guy named Derek Damford is in charge of all these companies. Garnet calls him and starts telling him about his problems. Derek goes to his stepfather, named Wallace, and asks if he can solve the problem. But Wallace asks him not to get mixed up in their business. Derek calls Garnet and tells him, "We didn't find out anything about this guy," and tells him to take it from there. "Take some guys with you, find him and kill him." An agent named Matt calls Verona and tells her that a company she's often talked about has blown up. Verona goes there right away. Matt is with her. Garnet and his men go to the house where the last client was scammed, Eloise's house, right away. Garnet sees Adam Clay from afar. He tells his men that this is the man they're looking for. They go and first they destroy all the bees' nests. Then they follow Clay and get to his hive. Clay hides. then starts killing the guys one by one. Finally, he catches Garnet and cuts his fingers. Then he pushes his old car. A co-worker comes to Verona's house and says there's a fire at her mother's house. They go there right away. They see burned bodies. They're all employees of United Date Group. Garnet stops in his car and calls Derek. He says the guy in the cap scattered everyone. Then Garnet says he cut off his finger. Derek asks about him. Garnet says everyone calls him the Beekeeper. At some point, Clay takes him outside and ties a rope around his body, one end of which is in his old car. Clay drives the car. The car drives into the water and takes Garnet away. Clay approaches Garnet's car and picks up the phone handle. He asks who's behind the phone, but Derek starts yelling. Clay responds by saying that he can, then says it's his turn. Then he gets in Garnet's car and leaves. Derek starts telling his stepfather about the problem. Wallace immediately calls the head of the beekeeping organization and asks for help. Meanwhile, the police have found Garnet's body. Wallace starts telling the beekeeping organization about his problems. Wallace says one of their guys is bothering Derek. Immediately, the head of the beekeeping organization tells the workers to take Adam Clay off the list. She even sends a crazy girl. This girl is supposed to kill Adam Clay, but Adam Clay instead burns the crazy girl. The head of the beekeeping organization calls Wallace and tells him that they tried to solve the problem themselves, but it didn't work. So Wallace has to solve his own problems. The cops go to the gas station where the woman was burned. There they find a book about bees. Verona suddenly starts to realize where Clay should go now. Wallace gathers his men and tells them about the beekeeper, that they need to be careful. The bosses from the state come to work with Verona. Verona, on his report, tells them all about this beekeeper, Adam Clay. There is another company. It's called 9-Star United. There is also a guy like Garnet. He is funny and smart. Knowing that Adam Clay is coming here, the employees and directors of the company send their men, special agents. Suddenly, a bunch of SWAT teams show up and warn the 9-Star United people to leave. It was Derek's SWAT team. There were FBI agents outside. Clay goes in there, scatters them, and takes one guy with him and goes inside the building. The SWAT team inside is about to leave. Suddenly, we see Adam Clay in the middle of the crowd. Then he takes a guy as a hostage and hides. Then he runs down the hallway. The SWAT team follows him. Clay starts killing them all one by one. Verona and her co-worker arrive. There are other co-workers with them. Clay kills them too. Later, Clay comes up to the fun-loving lead guy and grabs him. He asks about his boss, but he won't say anything. Clay hits him over the head with a gun. Then he shows a picture of Eloise and says she was the only person who cared for him and took him into her care. The guy shows a picture of Derek. At some point, Verona comes in and asks Clay to turn himself in. Clay hides and says that these companies are responsible for her mother's death. Verona says that she believes him, but there is a law. Clay says that if the law is not respected, then he will be the law. Later he leaves. Clay is chased by Matt on the way out, but Clay throws him to the floor. Matt immediately says he has kids. Derek and Wallace are on a date. At some point, Wallace gets a call to tell him everything that happened. Wallace immediately tells Derek to call his mom, that she's the only one who can solve the problem. Derek calls his mom and warns her that he's coming. Verona and his co-worker, Matt, remotely call their boss and inform him that the next person to be killed by Clay could be the boss of all these companies. That is Derek's mother, Danford. A meeting is scheduled at Danford's house. Guests are coming from nearby. Derek and Wallace are hiding in Danford's house. There's a guy named Lazarus. He's also a hitman. Lazarus says he can handle this beekeeper. Clay, on the other hand, hides under a truck, and when the guard wants to check the truck, he puts him in his uniform and comes out. Then he changes into a tuxedo. Derek was talking to a girl, and his mom came and took him with her. They go to the room where Verona's boss was sitting. He starts asking Derek about everything. He asks about United Date Group and other companies. Does he know about them? Derek says he is their boss. Even his mother doesn't know about it. Among the guests, Verona notices Clay and starts to follow him. Outside, Lazarus catches Clay. Clay turns around. They were going to kill him, but Clay presses a button in his hand, and the cars behind him explode. Clay shoots Lazarus, shoots the others, and runs away. Danford berates and yells at his son Derek. Clay takes turns knocking down all the employees and goes up to the top floor. Suddenly Lazarus appears in front of him. Clay fights him and finally kills him. Wallace stops Clay in his tracks and tells him that enough is enough, that they are sorry and won't do it again. Clay was planting an explosive device. Wallace was about to interfere, but Clay bent Wallace's arm. In the room, Derek shoots a cop. He thinks it's over. At some point, Clay arrives. Verona arrives. She tells Clay to stop. Derek holds his mother hostage. Then Clay looks at Verona and says, "Is it the law or justice?" Clay then shoots Derek and jumps out the window. Verona watches from behind and lets him go without shooting him. Adam Clay walks to the seashore to change clothes and disappears from sight. That's how the movie ends.